Welcome back to Mere Mortal Lights, to another edition of the Mere Mortals podcast. We got Meanderings today, a chance for us to philosophize out of the park. And as you can see, if you're looking or watching via video, we are outdoors. Today's Meanderings, and as always Meanderings, we get to just chat about whatever's been happening in our week, day to day, things that are interesting, things we want to philosophize about. But look, predominantly we're probably going to be talking smack about technology today. That's going to be the big piece today, and you'll see Karen take away a few things and why we've had some challenges in actually producing some of these podcasts of late. And I'll also share a few of the troubles that I've been having ongoing for 9 weeks as well, which has been like bubbling in the background, although it really reared its head just this particular week. So,
Gotcha.
But first,
Nice.
I'll ask you how to go enjoying forced no laptop days.
Yeah, forced no laptop. So context for this was on Wednesday, my laptop screen was just starting to stop, and I'd reset, and I could kind of get back into it, and then it would just stop again. And it got to the point where we came ready for the live musings, and it just became very obvious that this was not going to happen.
That wasn't going to happen.
So yeah, for all of Thursday, my computer was getting fixed, and until Friday morning. So I had about a day and a bit of just no laptop. Mm-hmm. Main things from that was I have done no tech days before, and I did actually still have my phone. So it was more just the time that is created and kind of it wasn't anxiety, but it was definitely a weird feeling going, oh, I've got, kind of 5 hours in the afternoon or a bunch of hours in the morning. How can I fix this? What can I do to fill up this time? So yeah, it was definitely a strangeness that was there for sure.
When you got your laptop back, did it feel like a piece of your life was back in play?
No, because it immediately broke after getting it back. It's the story for that was I sent it. This guy actually came around. It was going to be right near where I exercise, so I was like, oh, perfect. I'll just drop it off there, and then I can go exercise. And when I say right near, I mean it was 300 meters away.
Yeah,
so
okay, like
it was
super close.
Perfectly good. But he said he was in the area, so he came around, this guy called Ike, and had a look at it, tested it for a little bit. It was like, yeah, no worries. I think it's this issue. I was texting him saying, this is what happens. These are the error messages I'm getting. And he thought it was an SSD problem. Or he said SSD or RAM. Anyway, basically got it, said, all right, I'm pretty sure it's the SSD. I'm going to refix this. This is how much it costs. It was $250 all up. So I just went, yeah, fine, whatever. Cheaper than a brand new laptop. And he had it overnight, and then the next day he dropped it off. Immediately after dropping it off, I got it. Everything had been wiped from it, and I was like, all right, I know that's going to cause some problems, but thankfully I didn't keep my seed phrases on there. It wasn't a there was
bad
nothing
level of
there was
pain.
Nothing in there where
Dude,
it was.
Can you imagine if someone was handling the seed phrases in such a poor way that you've got it on like a local copy on a computer?
Scary. Yeah, don't do that, people. Do not do that.
Don't do that.
And immediately after he left, within 2 minutes, I had to restart it, and upon the restarting screen, it locked again, or I could see the swirly button just stopped. So I called him up and was like, "Yo, Ike, it's not fixed, man."
It's not fixed.
So he came back an hour or two later, and finally managed to fix it just in my table on the home.
Okay.
Opened up all the stuff. He's one thing I have learned from this is HP. HP is a piece of shit.
Right. Okay.
He was saying, do not get HP. They're just using all this old motherboards, like all this old stuff that hasn't been updated really. He recommended Intel computers are the way to go, at least at this point in time in 2022. So
right. Okay.
That was a good.
And so the
good
HP
learning.
doesn't have an Intel chip?
I don't know. I honestly do not know. But in any case, it turned out not to be the SSD, so kind of expensive, unnecessary on my part. And what he did do though was open it up, and you'll see some photos attached where there's basically two RAMs connected in here, like 2 slots for the RAMs, and one of them, he removed one of them and retested it. Everything was fine. So it was like, oh, this RAM must be faulty. But then replaced that one. Thankfully, he's a good tester, and so he replaced that one with the other one. So kind of switched them out into the same slot the other one was, and it still worked. So I was like, oh, okay, no, this is actually something related to the way the RAM connects the physical piece chip, and it's the connection of that into the motherboard is what's wrong.
Right.
And he kind of looked through it just to see if anything was visibly out of place, but
Couldn't really see.
no.
Yep.
So basically, my computer is now on half RAM.
Yeah, it's half
And
RAM.
So
yeah.
he thought it'd still be enough to do what I want to do in terms of video editing. I'm gonna have to see, man. This is.
I'm gonna. Have you yet edited a big file?
No.
The answer's gonna be no. Like the answer's gonna be you're not gonna be able to live on 8 gigs of RAM, and I can tell you that for almost an assurity.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I was at home on Thursday processing something in the middle of the day. I was processing a book. Not a book review. The interview. So it would have been like a week before that. I was processing the book review that I did with Jeff. So that interview. So that was exporting while I was trying to... So I was just exporting. Like I wasn't even editing. I was just exporting. Plus I was trying to do 2 more things with my computer. So I was running a virtual desktop and I had a file open. And that was already hitting over 12 gigabytes of RAM being used.
Yeah, I gotcha.
So I was like, damn. And I think the exporting might have been like at 10 or 9 or something like that. Like some ridiculous thing of uptake. And I was like, damn. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there's a couple of ways around this for me. I don't mind leaving the computer online overnight to do it. So I don't mind if I do all that. What I did do was I uploaded some big files into Premiere Pro and they were playing all right. I could cut and move things around. Yep. So in terms of the actual process of creating it,
it was doable.
That seemed fine. And that's the most important part. If it takes 10 hours to export a file,
well, it's less that it... I agree. Like, if it's 10 hours or whatever, I think it's will it just conk out? Like, will it hit RAM limit and go, done, finished?
Yeah, I have had this before. So I'm going to have to see. You know, there's so many things that are going, that could go wrong. Even as we're recording, I have an installation waiting to upgrade to Windows 11. Because this was originally Windows 10.
You haven't moved to Windows 11
I tried to do it last night when it was prompting it. I thought I did do it, and then now it's like, oh yeah, by the way, you still need to do that. So Lord knows what that's going to do.
Yeah. I think it is also a more bloated software package, so it does use more of your computer to actually run as well.
Probably. So there's so many things that are still... I'm not in the clear yet.
Okay.
Is essentially what I'm saying. Now he did actually say that chip, the RAM. I'm probably using the wrong terminology, but the one that I currently have, I can get one with double or I think even quadruple the capacity and just put it into that one slot.
Yeah. So you can get a chip the same size and it's 16 gigabytes. So you could do that.
Yes. So that is possible.
They're expensive.
Yeah. Whether I do or not, you know, that's another thing. If I replace that, will it? It won't wipe the system, will it? I just need to.
No, yeah, it won't. If you just swap the RAM and put another one, then
okay,
it'd be
good.
Fine.
Okay, that kind of encourages me a bit because I have spent now 5 or 6 hours, you know, downloading Telegram, downloading VLC, downloading this, downloading the software.
Yep.
Yeah, look, it's funny. In total, I'm pretty happy. You know, I didn't lose a seed phrase. Yes, I lost a couple of audios, and I'll talk about that in a second, which ones I lost. And we had to miss kind of a week, but you know, it's in terms of everything.
It really could have been worse.
Yeah, I didn't lose a whole, you know, year's worth of work. The most important things I already have updated and backed up on multiple different cloud files and things. You know, if I'd lost my document, which I keep with all my passwords, that would have been a serious issue. That would have been...
and you keep that on a cloud?
I keep that in multiple places, and I've got it, you know, kind of in a very simple, like, encrypt password set onto it and things like that.
Karen's level of cryptography. Yeah, the cryptography on it is wild.
Yeah, crazy. You can't hack this C phrase for sure. But, you know, in terms of everything, you know, I didn't lose access to our Gmail account. that would be a serious problem. I have lost access to the Value for Value podcast login. I don't know what is going on with that, because I've got access to the server, which means I'm sure I can change the login, the admin details. But this is the kind of problem I've been having with Castopod for ages, which is I'm just so nervous about updating things, about changing things, because I know I'm going to fuck it up.
Yeah, Simon's going to go wrong.
Undoubtedly, I'm going to fuck it up. And I kind of really wanted to get to the end of this season. Yep. And, of course, it happened with one episode left to upload. I wanted to get to the end, and then I could just kind of, save the RSS. I have all the audio files, so if I somehow managed to wipe it, whatever. And I was basically just going to upload a whole new instance, like new server, new domain name, new everything, and just move everything and start afresh. I'm still planning on doing that, but it's like...
That's just a little...
I have to solve this one particular fucking issue to get back in, to do one episode, and then to subsequently, kind of redo everything again.
There's a bit of pain involved there. There's a bit of energy.
Just annoying, man.
Yeah,
and this is kind of emblematic of why I never got the hosting my own node. Why I never bothered to do that, even though it was in my goals for ages to do it.
Yep.
I think in the end I made the very good decision not to do that, because why would I voluntarily? This is definitely one of the ones where it's for how much effort and how much kind of income we've got coming in, if you want to put it that way. It is not worth the problems of nodes, because
dealing with a node.
Holy crap, the amount of people who have issues with software updates, with the node going offline, so you have to manually... Can
you imagine dealing with what you've dealt with every week?
No, I would not voluntarily sign myself up for this unless there was, significant kind of money and or... I understand the kind of decentralization aspect at the moment, but I've got kind of 4 or 5 different wallets set up across multiple areas, and it's not the biggest deal if one of them goes down, because then it's like, whatever, I'll just use another one. So yeah, blah, that's it. Enough moaning being done. Do you enjoy that aspect of fixing software and those types of problems? I imagine some people love this problem solving. It's like, oh, what is it? But there's just something related to tech which just bugs me, man. It irks me to no end.
I don't like the hardware solving, because I'm just not great at hardware, so that's one aspect where I'm like, I just don't like dealing with RAMs and cards and that. I just don't know enough. I'd be just pained to do that. Maybe if I had to choose between a hardware problem and a software problem, I'll choose a software problem, because it feels like I've got a little bit more tangible knowledge or wisdom to try to do something about it. But even then, I don't want to really be dealing, with OBS or something. Like, imagine if I had OBS and for some reason I'm just mucking around with connecting the camera and playing something and then doing the editing. If there's unknowns in there, that feels like a problem I can solve, as long as it doesn't get too extreme and it just goes to the place where it's like, now I've got to hard run into the actual program itself and check what debugging. Okay, that's
debugging.
That's a level I don't want to play around with. But if it was the same with hardware, I'm like, I just don't want to deal with checking if electronically the right amount of current's going through, or is it actually connecting to, this sounds horrific. And in a similar way, so
what was the tech problem?
So I've been having
9 week
for 9 weeks, right? So for 9 weeks I have a computer that's been provided by my work, right? Okay. I've got 2 actually. I've got 2 that's been provided by work, but I use one predominantly for work.
And you mean laptop? And you say
I mean laptop. And so this laptop, for whatever reason, right? For whatever reason, this company mandates that every 30 days you must reset your password, right? Which, security reasons, whatever.
My mom had to do that with her school logins.
Lots of laptops. Lots of companies do this. Fine.
And of course, for hers, it was always just
plus a number at the
end.
The
Lonely Fish 1, the Lonely Fish 2.
Exactly. Something like that. Yeah. Now, for me, the last 9 weeks, this laptop always gives me some sort of grief from in the office, where the headphone won't connect properly. it won't connect to the internet properly. It won't load up a virtual desktop correctly. It'll lose connection from a virtual connection or from the logins. Won't connect to the mouse. Like, you name it, it's had all the issues.
Yeah.
Minor ones, but it's just like that gentle bubbling where it's just annoying every week. You're like, oh my God, why this again? Why this again? And then it hit Wednesday, where the day before I'd done the password update. So I'd done the password update at home. It's all working correctly. It's letting me log in. And then I go to the office the following day, right? I've walked in there. I've got a meeting that I got to run in 20 minutes. 20 minutes, I'm like, cool. I can kind of settle in. I can talk to people. It's pretty easy. And I've opened the laptop, put in the normal password. It lets me go. So it's got 2 levels of like security passwords you got to do. So I do the first one, get into the BitLocker location.
Cryptography, right?
Then it goes into the second one, right? Put in the normal PIN. Nah, doesn't accept it. I'm like, what the hell? Put in the PIN. Nah, doesn't accept it. Okay, this is dumb. So I'm like, okay, I'll change it because you can change from using a PIN. Now I haven't changed this PIN at all, so I don't know why it's not accepting it. To the password. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'll put the password in. So I put the password and it does let me go in, right? So okay, first stage, I'm like, okay, easy enough. That was pretty fine. But then on this particular day, for whatever reason, because the password has changed and whoever decided to build these laptops because they're in their mind trying to be really secure. There's always a battle of like, how secure do you make something from a security, cryptography, whatever it may be, and a usability perspective. And sometimes like people just lean on too much of security. So what happens is when I change the password, in a really smart moves, it decides to wipe all of your logins and passwords that have been saved in your computer. You got none of them, right? The problem with that is that so at the place that I work, I need like that company's internet to actually be able to connect to the internet because there's no my own company provided one. There's none. So I log in, I'm like, I need to actually get into a virtual desktop. Awesome. Okay, but I don't have the internet. So I'm like, oh man, I've got to use my phone hotspot again because like it must have done this thing. And to find out what the password is to be able to get in, I've got to get into the virtual desktop to find in the email. So I'm like, wow, okay, cool, hotspot. But of course, no signal. I had SOS signal just sitting in this office because this office is like concrete block, right? So what I had to do was, and again, time's clicking down. I'm going to run this meeting. I'm like at the edge of the office on a window, like trying to get signal on my thing so that a hotspot would work. So I get my laptop to connect, to go into the Outlook, and then at some point, I would have to like change using my hotspot to using the Wi-Fi. But if I did that, like in that split second that I do that, it breaks the virtual desktop. So I had to like do it in such a quick pace, and then I had to like take photos of my thing to be like, oh, that's the password. Try, and if it didn't, I had to do that all again. I had to do that whole process again. Dude, I did it like 7 times, right? 7 times because it was like super annoying. Anyways, needless to say, I didn't make this meeting, right? I didn't make this meeting. I was like, oh, this is so stuffed. But after all that, I was like, okay, cool. I've logged it in, so that's like all sorted. That's wonderful. Something else happened with the computer where like, that's what it was. And then I was like, the next meeting, I was like, okay, I'm all logged in, right? So that's hardware problems in a way, right? That's network connection. And then I go, all right, cool. I've got to run this meeting. I've set up the board already, so it's a software issue that's about to happen. I've got my brand new team members. I'm about to like run them through like this ways of working and whatever else. And we start the session, and basically almost immediately, the thing that I'm showing crashes, just completely crashes. I'm like, damn, okay. I try to reload it again, share with using the Teams that I'm using. Boom, crashes. Not just that page now, but the whole computer crashes. And I was like,
destroy the whole network.
That happened. Like I counted probably like 17 times where it like broke in a session of about an hour. Managed to get through it, but at that point it was coming up to midday, and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to deal with this. I was like, this is I'd rather just be working from home at this point with this amount of like drama with it. So, in those two, I'd rather have dealt with the software drama than the hardware drama, because the hardware drama I was like, man, if I just didn't know this particular password thing or I had this availability, then like that's it. There's nothing I can do. Like there's nothing with the software. Okay, I can kind of play around with it. So.
Yeah, it's gotten me thinking a lot about exactly how I want to word one of my goals for this next year, which is I definitely want to do something related to coding, but I'm going to have to be very specific about what I want to do with that, or very vague maybe, to keep myself motivated and to also get that right level of pushing through these types of problems where you need to, but also not spending so much time on them that I lose motivation and
well, here's this one. So I wrote this one down as well, right? So I wanted to talk about it, which was just as I was driving here, Tom Willie was talking to Ryan Holiday, and it was talking about like you need to sit and suck at something first. Like there is a part of doing something that's new that you have to be prepared that you're going to sit and suck at it, and being okay with that. And it kind of made me think of the Web3 series that I want to run, right? So now I've kind of been sitting on it for a while, and
the perennial MMW3.
Yeah, and for good reasons that I could think of, I haven't done it because there's a lot of other stuff that's been happening that's way more priority. So I've been moving, there's changes that I've been doing that it's like, okay, that to me is of no priority right now. Fine, I can understand that. But there's a point in my mind now that I'm also thinking is like, okay, well, I've got to sit and suck at this first, in the sense that there's a few setups that I've got to do of running the podcast style content piece that I want to create. That's going to have to make me dig a little bit differently to the way that we create this podcast. Because there's podcasts and musings and the like. There's some research that we go into them, sure. There's some notes that we take. But by the by, it's like us conversing and talking about things that are already existing. Where I guess the way that I wanted to put that one together is it's very, very research driven. It's very like, here's the information that I've been like sort of learning and that. And again,
every second counts sort of thing.
Yeah, and there's parts around, am I willing to sit and suck at doing that? Like, do I really want to do that? Is that something I really, really want to do? Or do I perhaps make it more of a part of, just me talking about Web3 in general? Which then I go, okay, well, is that actually valuable? Is that something I want to be doing? Because it probably takes away from the original intent. So this is one that I kind of wish I'd probably re-examined a bit more. Because as you say, like with setting up a lot of the ways that I want to do it and set up, I go, man, is that software things that I actually even want to like put my effort into right now? It might not be a right now thing. So I'm like battling with like, okay, timeline wise, is it the thing? And so instead I'm kind of focusing on other goals, which is good. Like we've both been talking about, computer problems and technology problems, but you were saying handstands kind of coming up, Trump and going well. And at the moment, like all my other goals that I've been setting, especially like health, body, physical ones, have been going really well. So like at the moment, I've been doing a specific bench training again for a month, and it's just been like insane, like really, really good. So I'm like, this is awesome. So at least there's been some light in the darkness that has been our life recently, which has been good.
Yeah. So,
but no. So okay. So besides technology problems or anything like that, was there anything else that you want to talk about today?
Yeah. There's a couple of things. So I did want to mention we have lost an episode. There's the recordings. I still have them, but I just don't want to release it with the audio from the cameras. It's just not good enough. And but I did want to, I suppose, give a little look into what we talked about last week and spend an hour on, just so it's not, so people can kind of see the progression. Yeah. So highlights from that was I made what I still think is a very good analogy, is that Bitcoin mining is like going to the toilet, in the sense that if you spent 15 minutes a day on the toilet, that's about equal to 1/100th of a day, and therefore 1/100th of your lifetime. I'm assuming you go into the toilet every day. Some people may not.
True. Go get yourself checked out.
yeah, for sure. And Bitcoin mining is roughly a 1/100th of the world's energy production. And then I was just saying, okay, but you can't look at like a one number like that and say, oh, that's a huge problem, because it's all the individual small things. Is it a huge problem that 1/100th of your life is spent on the toilet? So when you put it like that, it's like, God, what a waste of time. What couldn't you be doing more effective things with that time, or couldn't you be doing more effective things with that energy? And I thought it was a fun analogy, because it probably pisses off both groups. People who like, because it's positive about Bitcoin mining, and then it's also comparing Bitcoin mining to taking a dump. We're also talking about, there's kind of where I'm kind of happy that at least this episode was what was lost, because I was bringing up some things, and it was one of those ones where it was kind of like a half-baked idea on my part, and it just didn't connect with you. And that was when we were talking about big problems. Can you have a problem like the pay gap, for example, look at the minutia? Is this woman getting paid the same as a man? And by and large, it's they get 97% equal job, like equal time, equal pay, roughly. So that 3%, you could say, oh, that's a big deal, but it's not the 75 cents to the dollar that you hear, or haven't actually heard it as much recently, which is nice. A little bit of a break. And then we're talking about existential threats as well, and lots of, because I've read the book On the Beach, by the way, another audio I lost, so that is a redo of that one when you listen to that book review. And would you try and migrate if the nuclear cloud was coming down your way? So we talked about a whole bunch of different things. But here's a fun one related to crypto, the crypto scene one.
Okay.
So for those of you who hate NFTs, my friend Alexander Watanabe, who we had on the podcast, he's created a new system to short NFTs.
Short NFTs?
Yeah.
Okay.
So have you heard of anything like this before?
No.
Like if you hate NFTs and you go, I want to short that motherfucker.
Yep.
Have you heard of anything? Yeah.
No.
So there's a kind of cool system he's got, and I'll try and describe it as accurately as possible. And to be specific, you're shorting the floor price of an NFT. So not an individual NFT, you're shorting the floor price of a collection. And so basically how it's called Guchi, with an H instead of the second C. And the name for that is something related to money in Japanese, and I didn't particularly remember that. But basically what you do is you have someone, so let's just say you have a $1,000 NFT of some sort, and I think, man, what a piece of shit. That's a floor one as well. And I say, man, and we'll use actual terms. You've got 1,000 ETH NFT. And I go, man, what a piece of shit. There's not going to be worth any money. I want to short it. And you go, okay, well, put your money where your mouth is. And so what you will do is you'll put it up. You can go to the site, Gucci, and re-step it back. This is all on Cardano. So you've got 1,000 ADA NFT.
Right. So this is CNFTs.
So
okay.
Yes.
So this is shorting just Cardano NFTs.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
You've got something that's 1,000 ADA at the floor price at the moment, and I go, man, what a piece of shit. I think I want to short that. You go, okay, put your money where your mouth is. So you will set a collateral price of which you would be kind of content if the NFT rose to that price. You would be happy if you'd kind of like lost the NFT. So basically, what will happen is you've got it. I'm wanting to short it. You put the NFT in this contract, and I put in, let's just say, 1,500 ADA. The 1,500 ADA stands in like the middle of the contract, and the NFT comes to me. I will then take that, immediately sell it. So I sell it for 1,000, and then I just wait for however long in the contract terms it is. Could be 30 days, could be 3 months. And basically, I just have to provide another NFT related to this collection at some point before the contract expires. And so what I try and do is I sell it for 1,000 because I think, oh, these are going to go down.
They're going to be 50. So
they
I
go
can
down.
Give you one for 50.
Yep. Well, yep. So then I rebuy it 50
and give you that one.
And I put that back in. I've made a profit of 950 on that, and then I get my money back. Now, what happens?
The original 1,500 to make the contract happen?
Yes, yeah. So I'm up, 950 minus a bunch of fees which I've had to use in terms of buying and selling. Incentive for you is you get you can set like a percentage of how much that 1,500 you want to get per kind of like week or something like that. So I might not get exactly 1,500 back. I'll get 1,500 minus
something
whatever you've taken off of it, and you're basically hoping, oh, okay, he's tried to sell it. Well, he sold it. It's actually gone up in price. It's now 1,200. Haha, sucker. He has to re-spend money, so he's now at a $200 loss to buy it and put it back into the contract to get that 1,500 out. Or what could also happen is he gets it, and then he forgets to sell it immediately, and then it rockets up to 3,000. He doesn't want to put a $3,000 NFT in to get only 1,500 back. And so in that case, you don't get your NFT back, but you do get 1,500. So this is why you need to set a kind of collateral price of how much you'd be willing to
Yeah, like if it's rocketed up, yeah.
If in 3 months' time
it's gone extremely high.
Yeah. And you know, you could still be content saying, you know, I could have had a 3,000 NFT, but you know, I got 1,500.
Yeah,
that's
enough.
fine.
Yeah.
So and then in terms of how he wants to monetize the Gucci contract, all this time and work he's been put in, I think at the moment he's thinking of taking small fees for just the transactions of going in and going out. But in the future, he'd just like to have it so that all that money that's just sitting in the contract, all that ADA that's sitting in the contract, he can stake it and be earning rewards off that while it's just sitting in
like
there.
doing its thing, yeah.
And then, you know, once it goes out to the different parties, whether it be because I've provided it back and so I get my collateral back, or you get to take it because I haven't provided the NFT back, then he makes money just off of it sitting in there. So
yeah,
I thought it was a cool idea, and it was one of the only dApps that I've really been able to get my mind and head around in terms of, it's not overly complex. I'm sure there's some nuances, but it made a lot of sense to me, and I was like, oh yeah, this kind of cool.
I like that sort of setup. I mean, I can again, it depends on the nuances, but I can imagine someone with a bit of bankroll, like shit, you could destroy it.
Yeah, you can manipulate the market if there's only 800 of these NFTs.
Well, not even that. I'm just thinking in the way that you explained it. So let's say you got a series of 1,000 Cardano NFTs, CNFTs, and let's say the floor price is 1,000, as you say, right? And so I'll put 10 contracts on. I'll be like, I'm going to short all of them, and everyone goes, absolutely, because it's on floor price, right?
Yeah.
And then I will go and buy 10 of them, and I'll floor price it to 1.8. Like I'll just sell them on market for 1.8, and then you win. That's it.
Yeah.
What's stopping like you forcing the floor price to go down to 1.8?
In terms of,
because you yourself, like you could set up a contract, and then you could use another wallet. You can use whatever you want and just buy 1,000 ADA NFTs, CNFTs, and then floor them to one ADA.
So in this case, are you the person who has them originally? No. So
I'm the one. I'm like, I bet you the floor price is going to go down. Like I'm going to bet. Like I want to short that NFT, and they're like, cool. I'll put you up on it, and then you'll go separately and go and purchase 10 of them and just set the floor price at 0.0001 ADA. And that's it. You've just shorted the entire...
you have to purchase them to get them back down. You
know what I'm saying? Like what I'm saying is like, say in that example, it's kind of like, yes, you've won those same contracts, so all of a sudden you have to.
So now you have 10.
So like I will buy my own 0.00001 ADA off like another contract, right? And then give them back to these, like basically that's what I'll buy and like have to give back to the contract, but then you come away with ADA out of it. So you yourself end up like making some sort of win out of it. Not like it's not 100% win, but I'm just imagining what's stopping someone with like a massive bankroll just being able to be like, oh, I could just do that all day long.
Yeah, I suppose I don't understand that because you're just buying and selling from yourself, whereas in this case you need to be buying and selling with other people to make that difference up. So
yeah, I'm imagining like say you have say with Hosky, right?
Yeah. So funnily enough, I was actually thinking of testing this out by being both the buyer and a seller.
Yeah, just imagine if you if it like, and I wonder if he allows leverage, because if he allows leverage, then it's game over. Then like you can completely game it, but.
Yeah, no, I don't think he was keen for anything.
Like, how would it play out if you're like, say the floor price of Hosky was 50 ADA, and so I was like, I bet you it's going to go down, and you're like, no, it's gonna. I'll set 75, right? And then I'm like, okay, cool, let's do it. And so we'll set it, and then I'll just go off and buy a Hosky, and then set the and then just try to sell it. So I've paid 50 ADA for another one, and I'm trying to sell it for 0.00001. So all of a sudden I've won the contract. Like in this shortening, I'll like close it there and be like, oh, look, it's gone all the way down to 0.00001. From right, I guess, and I'm trying to understand like what do you win?
So
what do you get?
In the contract, it's not proving that the price has done anything. Basically, all you are doing, so me as the shorter, all I'm doing is taking something of this collection and then providing something of that collection back. So it doesn't have to be. There's it doesn't matter for me if the floor price goes down and then back up or anything like that. I just need to have made a difference of the buying and selling of the NFT on the exchange. So there's no what I'm struggling to understand.
What does a shorter get in the end? So do they get ADA?
So
do they
only
get an NFT?
No, they only get the difference between the NFT is provided to me, the shorter.
Mm-hmm.
I sell it immediately. This is what the rational behavior would be. I sell it immediately, and then I buy it back at some later date when it's cheaper. And so it's that difference of me selling it. I've got now 1,000, and then buying it back when it's 200. So now I've got the same, not exactly the same NFT because that's unlikely to happen, but an NFT from that collection, and plus 800 ADA, and then I provide that back.
Gotcha,
So that's so what you were talking about with in terms of buying and selling from yourself. There's sure you can do that all day long, but there's no money being made from you
that as a win. Okay, that's a little bit different. Okay, cool. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I thought it was kind of cool, and it just some of the things I liked about this was one, he just built it. He didn't. He has previously complained about the low quality cash grabs, PFP picks, and rug pulls and shit like that. And he was like, man, I just want a mechanism where you can have an opposing force to this ludicrous bullshit that's going on. Here's a system, and fuck it, I'm just going to create it. And so he's gone and done it with 2 other people, I think. I like that. I like that spirit of not just complaining about a problem like I have about my computer, but actually going and doing something about it. Doing something about it. Whereas I'm just going to complain about my computer all day long.
I wonder how much traction they'll get out of that, because it's going to be like who's going to accept that.
Yeah, look, it's very. There's some things related to it which are going to be tricky. So, for example, this is all related to floor price. So, say that you really believe in this NFT that you've got, and you're like, yep, I'll take you up on this bet. I believe the future of this, it's going to be about more valuable. But you provide one of these super ultra rare ones. Well, then that person who's savvy will just go, oh, I can sell this immediately for 10,000, and then immediately just buy one of the floor ones and give that back to you, and so just make a huge profit very quickly because you didn't really understand that you had a rare one. So this only works for the floor. So you need to be kind of savvy if you're providing them, if you're the one with it. Otherwise, you could get ripped off. Well, not ripped off. You've voluntarily entered into this, but you can make a big mistake on that part. And then also, there are a lot of steps. If I'm shorting it, I have to get the thing. I have to sell it. I have to rebuy it back at some point. I have to put it back in the contract. Like there's a whole lot of steps.
Yeah.
But
I like the idea.
I like the idea.
I wonder what the appetite is for such a thing.
We'll see, man. Yeah. We'll see. It's not live as we speak, but it should be in the next week or two. And I'll get him back on the podcast in probably about a month's time and see how it's going and just chat about other stuff.
I'd just be interested, I guess, in the amount of people that actually want to partake in that, both in the, I can assume there'd be a market for people who want to short something because they could see their profits there.
Yeah.
I see less likelihood of someone putting up their NFT for sale in that, or CNFT and sale for that way.
Yeah, letting go of control of it. For sure. But this is probably appeals to those people who have 10 of it. You're like, man, I love this project, and I've got 10 of it, and they're not making money out of it just sitting in their wallet. They could be starting to make some money by chucking it up on this and taking a.
You can do that with staking. You can stake NFTs
in.
I don't know in Cardano.
Yeah, I don't.
But
know.
You can stake NFTs in Ethereum.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of like that.
What
that
service
mechanism.
is that called?
There's heaps there's heaps of sites that you can do staking.
So it's like lending and borrowing sort of thing.
Yeah. So there is stuff like that you can do. So I was kind of go, why would people choose to do it like that, where there's other means that you could potentially be leveraging your NFT if you want to do that. Now, I don't like to do that. I don't care. I'm like, whatever, I won't stake it. But people are doing that, and you can make some money from that without the capital itself, right? So
Interesting.
I kind of go, it'd be interesting, and that's why it'd be good to ask him that question when he actually puts it forward and see how much traction he actually gets from it.
Yeah, and this is all, you know, ties in related to, I suppose, the crypto in general, and so you're definitely more of a fan of Ethereum than I am, and they've just done the merge, which is I'm glad it didn't fuck everything up. What's your reasoning for enjoying Ethereum more than any of the others, or having more a stake in it?
I think it's just because it's the more widely talked about one in the comparison to everything else. Like, it's the one that's making waves when it comes to companies and development, and then its second layer protocols of Immutable or Matic or anything like that. Like, everyone just seems to be building on Ethereum more and more and more. Like, yes, you'll hear about ADA doing this, Hive doing that, or Light doing this, and obviously Bitcoin is perennially from a perspective of being able to be, you know, the digital gold perspective. But just everywhere you look and start to have a discussion, is like every single smart person who was playing around the Web 2 space, plus every single company seems to just be absolutely playing in the Ethereum space and everything associated to that.
Are there any projects or individual things that you really like and kind of see the real world use cases? You know, you mentioned Hive, for example, with podcasting 2.0. You know, it's a global notification service. It saves time for people trawling. You know, Apple, for example, if they pick this up, Apple, you should pick this up. But Podcast Hopes, for example, they just send out a message, this podcast has been updated, and then that way you don't have to have all of these apps individually crawling through all of these databases trying to figure out, has it updated yet? Has it updated yet? Has it updated yet?
Yes, but I think what you're talking there about is, so don't compare what is usefulness to end state value for the world or humanity. Not humanity in a valuable of like, hey, doing pull-ups and running is really good, valuable. But, you know, if are you gonna sell Nike and say like, oh yeah, by the way, here's 100 pull-ups for a fucking shoe. They're gonna be like, fuck off, give me some money, right? So price, money actually makes the world go around in a lot of ways still, right? So I think the variation there is...
Yeah, I missed the point.
Yeah, so the variation, so like you say like, oh yeah, you know, like Hive could do this, this, and this. This is fantastic. What's the end state monetary value for a company for that?
Well, they don't have to spend money on constantly pinging databases to find out if a podcast is updated. They can just look for the message being received from Hive saying, oh, yep, this podcast is now updated.
I mean,
you know,
they can. Like, that's what I say. That, yes, I think there's a lot of value in all of them. Like, in all of them, you'll find value. Just similarly with ADA, there's a lot of value that you can get from it. Again, what I'm saying is, right at this moment, right at this time, unless someone, I mean, more like listening to this, or anyone else can show me, like, I don't see any companies, anybody utilizing that in a large way or large scale as opposed to how Ethereum is being played right now. So I had a quick little Google because I remember just seeing this somewhere where at the moment I think Nike has made, I can't remember how much in comparison to the rest of their business. So just of Web3 and NFT projects, which is just pure Ethereum, they've made about $185 million worth of profit just in that space over 1 year.
So what have they done to do that?
They've partnered up with a company called RTFK in Ethereum. So it's like a company where they do like shoes and apparel through that. They've done other things. Like, honestly, I don't even know all the other things, but obviously they've made a lot of money from it, right? So they've made profit of it. Profit.
I guess what I'm asking is, like, how did they make that money profit? Is it because they found a unique way to sell their shoes or sell their merch?
Probably, like in a way, yeah. So it's like
that's the thing I'm interested in. I don't really care if they've made a lot of money or not. It's more, have they created an innovation and like fixed a problem, whether it be too many middlemen, you know, they're losing out.
That's
on all
I guess
these
what I'm
things.
saying when you asked the question originally, why Ethereum? My statement is, so when you talk about from an investment perspective, it's because all the massive players and really smart people are just playing in that space, which is going to congregate a lot more of investment and value into Ethereum. So, you know, if you're talking about where am I going to put my money, I'm not going to put it into Hive. Now, Cardano might do much better from the value that it delivers for like a specific individual or for like a whole group of people. Who knows? That's probably more value. In fact, looking at that and the monetary value that Nike would have made, you know, you could say, well, should that just help them sell digital products and apparel more? Like, how helpful really is that to the world at large? Maybe not as much as a lot of other things are doing, right? Like, so with Cardano, with ADA, hell, if that enables, you know, third world countries to be able to actually interact and transact in a much safer and well, you know, you could make a...
Yeah, I've mentioned this before, but Empower, they've they use their kind of token and NFTs through ADA, through Cardano to enable people to get mortgages who wouldn't have access to a mortgage. And I think they rose. So I remember telling you about the amount of mortgages in Mozambique, which was 600 in a country of 35 million, something like that. They've increased that by 5%. So they've managed to get an extra, my maths is terrible. What's that? 30? They've managed to create an extra 30 houses kind of mortgaged out, and they've done it by, you know, with people who would not have been able to get a mortgage in the current system.
So but to your original question, there's a difference between that, like looking at that at the value of what it helps a humanity or individuals. Well, that's fantastic. That's really good. And so I think for a lot of parts, there's a lot of cryptos out there that are going to be fantastic, awesome. But on the opposite side of like why Ethereum, at least in my mind, is because all big companies, all smart people, all the venture capital, everyone is playing in that space. And so I just see it like, okay, there's going to be, whether rightly or wrongly, that's going to be probably the ship that's going to just be grow the biggest for one way or another. So from an investment, I go, cool, that's probably what I want to be playing in that space. Like, I go, okay, there's probably NFTs in the Ethereum realm. They're going to be much more talked about than even anything in Solana world or in Cardano world or in whatever other place, just because there's just more audience in that realm playing around.
Yeah. See, I suppose the question I want to get is like individual projects. So if you find some individual projects which you think it's like, damn, that's really cool, can you just send them to me? Because I'd be interested, because I've heard the same argument for Solana. All the big players are playing in it. VC's putting tons of money in it. And yet, from where I look, it just looks like an absolute shit show going on with that.
From Solana?
Yeah.
Solana seems a bit of a strange world. But so from like Ethereum, I mean, there's no shortage in just, I think, at least I know that VFriends, Doodles, Moonbirds, and I know one other have collectively garnered about $200 million of VC funding. That's just like the funding that at least is talked about from a broad perspective. Like, I don't know the numbers. I actually want to maybe do a little bit of a check on this, but I would envision that from a investment perspective. And so to me, at least, when I go, okay, if there's investment going in, and we still live in a world where the money goes, like that's where money is going to be playing around and trying to make it succeed. I would envision that funding for Ethereum things or playing around the Ethereum space is probably like 70% of the market, and then the rest is just everything else, where Bitcoin just doesn't even need that. It's just its own sort of player. And I think that's why you correctly kind of view it as Bitcoin, and then there's everything else, which I really like that. So in like the everything else, I see Ethereum has just got the just gigantic amount of eyeballs on it, funding that's coming in, people just wanting to play around on it. Like, I don't know, what do you develop when using ADA and, you know, in the Cardano space or Hive? Is it Solidity? Is it something else?
The Haskell they use in Cardano.
What do they use?
Haskell.
Okay, so like, you know, for me, and I've not that I'm always looking into like development and whatnot, so this could be wrong, but at least from what I see and listen to, and like that I see in the job market, even in Australia and across the US, dude, everyone's learning Solidity, everyone's trying to get into that. I hear nothing. I've never heard of like anybody trying to learn that sort of coding. So it's almost like
Haskell's a bitch of a language.
Yeah, so there's a lot of like what people are coming up as growing up into. You know, the conversation is, it's just becoming more and more apparent to people who don't even know anything about crypto. That's kind of like, oh, there's Bitcoin now and Ethereum does this. And all these other players in the space do a lot of other stuff, but it's starting to become the more widely discussed thing. So yeah. I'm at least putting my money on the fact that there's a lot of smart people playing in the space with a lot of money, with a lot of drive to make something happen.
Yeah. So see that's actually one of the things that I don't understand about Ethereum, like what exactly it's trying to solve or do. That's one of the things I struggle with. You know, it's fine that lots of people are doing something that's cool, but you know, just because VFriends has made a lot of money, you know, casinos make a lot of money as well. You know, I suppose the thing I do like to link it back to real life use cases, and there's why I'm just saying, like, yeah, if you see any projects which are kind of doing something cool or interesting, send them my way, because I just don't hear about them. Like I hear about NFTs.
Well, it depends on what you mean cool in fun ways, right? Like, you know, to a VC, cool in fun ways means they made $187 million more than they would have the year before.
Yeah,
that's
I don't care about that.
So that's what I mean. I think that's where you got to take away. You got to look at the buyers that you're thinking cool and fun means doing good for the world, right? Yeah. So, like, because if someone would be like, oh, they pay you $20 per handstand that you do that's over 30 seconds. You might be like, that's really cool. And then 90% of the world be like, that's the fucking stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. So there's a bias in you saying, oh, that's going to be cool and fun. It's, I think, to everyone. And so I center it at, well, there's a, like a, for right or wrong, there's a base of making money that a lot of companies, a lot of people are going to be focused on. And that will be achieved through that realms. But I agree. I would like it to be cool that from like a Ethereum or any other perspective, that there's other good stuff that's built that's not money related or not funding related and the like. So
yeah. Okay. Cool. Nice. Yeah, I think that's it. Nothing else that I want to complain about.
All right, well, we'll leave it at that. Me and Mortalites. Yes, you haven't heard our dulcet tones for a little while, but that's all right. We're back in action, hopefully, and no more technology issues.
Yeah,
but
hopefully.
You know, there will be. Look, we've got to say, but there's going to be more technologies. I'm sure.
The audio will definitely come out. The video, I'm not as confident on.
So, but in any case, yes, we are back. We are podcasting. We are Valley for Valley enabled. You know, so podcasting 2.0 apps out there that you're interacting with. Make sure that you're playing around with. Just recently, when I did the Jeff Yew interview, I actually shared it on my socials with the Fountain link. So for the first time, I was like, actually, I'm going to share the Fountain link instead of just sharing, like, I normally share the YouTube one, but technology, again, it uploaded the wrong bloody file. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to share this. And I was like, actually, this is a perfect opportunity to be like, hey, you know, we talked about Lightning Network on that particular conversation. Here's the link to Fountain. Go and, like, kind of learn and find out a little bit more about that. So, you know, that might be a place where you might want to go check out my LinkedIn or any socials and go try to find that post. But obviously, you can just go to Fountain and actually find that conversation just along with all of our other podcasts and book reviews and everything else that we do. And yes, we'd always appreciate a boostergram or streams that come through to the channel. As always, it was great support. But for now, I think we'll leave it at that. Me and Mortalites, hope you enjoyed. One out.
Current out.
Good.